Hello guys, Temporalcortex here with episode 3 of our tutorial series on how to make a League of Legends overlay. This episode I'm going to show you how to use layer masks to adjust some things and recreate different things. So the likes of if you wanted to make a webcam window and things like that, that's sort of integrated in to the original UI. We're going to show you how to do that. Just super easy and just involves a wee bit of tweaking. So I use just a standard mouse, nothing fancy. I don't use a tablet. I do have a tablet, but I don't use it. So first of all, what we're going to do, got our original UI here, and I want to use the mini maps around to basically create the edges of our webcam window. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit Control J to duplicate the layer. I'm going to remove the layer style for the meantime so that I can I'm going to pull it over here, make this a bit bigger on screen. So as you can see, we've got this lovely mini map section, and basically I want to trim off this part just to leave this side area with just that little curve at the top. So we're just going to go with our hitting the L key to bring up the polygonal lasso tool. Just going to trace around the side of this, again holding shift if you want to do a straight line. I'm just going to put it there, and got that. We've drawn our selection. I'm going to smooth it just a wee bit, 2 pixels generally. Just hit the delete key to get rid of that. So we now have a sort of edge for our webcam window. So basically we're going to hit Control J to duplicate that layer. Then Control T to bring up the transform tool, and then if you right click inside this marked box for your transform tool, you can then adjust what sort of transformation you're doing. So it's on free transform at the minute by default, but then you can change it to scale, rotate, skew, distort, perspective, warp. You can rotate it by 180 or 90 degrees clockwise or counterclockwise. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip it horizontally so that it gives me that. And what I would suggest whenever I do webcams, what I do is I hit well, you can either hit go up to file and go to view and create it this way, or what you can do is you can hit Control M, which will open up a new thing, a new document inside Photoshop, and then I change the width to 1280 by 720, which is widescreen. If it's normal, a normal webcam window will be 800 by 600 is where I start. So it's just creating it with a white background. I'm going to hit that, so that's giving me a new document. I'm going to hit Control A to select everything, Control C to copy that, and I'm going to hit Control W, which will close the window. So I don't need that anymore, and then I'm going to hit Control V. So basically what I've got here is effectively a marker of how wide a widescreen window, webcam window is, which makes it super handy. So I can do that. I'm just going to drag the layer down because it's underneath those. Then I'm going to take these 2 sections, click on this one, and then while holding shift just drag it out to the edge. Click on this one while holding shift out to the edge again. So as you can see, we've got a fairly simple webcams around here. I'm just line this up, tops of those curves. And then what you can see is we've got this section along the top that we basically want to fill in a bar along this top to match up with those 2 curves. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that from the center part of the UI. So we've got our center layer here. Again, just Control J to duplicate the layer. I'm going to clear the layer style. Clearing layer styles and copying and pasting layer styles is just done by right clicking on the layer, and then those options will be highlighted. So I'm just going to lift this up here and basically take, so if I delete out, switch that to the rectangular marquee. There's various ways you could do this, but if I delete out that so I'm left with just that top section, I can then drag that over. And we're actually pretty close to the size that we need. Sometimes whenever you're doing say like a champ themed overlay or something like that, we'll need to adjust it. So if I move that up to there, so I'm just using the arrow keys, hit V for the move tool, and then you can just use the arrow keys, and if you hold shift while using the arrow keys, it'll move in bigger increments, but I just wanted to move in small increments. So I've lined that up there, but as you can see, this isn't matching up quite right. So what I'm going to do down here in the bottom right corner along the bottom of your layers tab is a little white rectangle with a grey circle in the middle. It might be slightly different depending on your setup. Basically click that applies a layer mask up here, which as you can see it's white at the minute, and basically the way it works is if it's white it's showing, and if you paint or if you brush on black it will then hide where you're painting the black. So if we take our brush tool, make sure we've got our foreground color set to black. You can use your bracket keys to make the brush size bigger or smaller. So we want it a wee bit smaller. And basically I'm just going to brush over this. And as you can see, it's disappearing as I'm doing that. And obviously, if you've got a wee bit that you want to leave in there, that you've removed, you can then hit X, which will switch your foreground and background color, which by default should be black and white. You just flick those across so those are changed, and then I can just fill in that little part again. Okay, you can just bring it back. So if you have removed a part and you want to bring it back, you can just keep doing that, because you're always on. If you make sure you're always selected on the layer mask, you just keep, you know, bringing it in and taking it away as you need it. So we're going to take this out. Super easy. Painted black, and as you can see here, on this layer you can see the two black parts where I painted that on. So we've got that, and then what we can do is we can take that section that we've done, Control J to duplicate it again, and it will duplicate that layer with that mask, and then we can hit Control T, right click, flip it vertically, bring it down to the bottom. And then as you can see, we're reasonably well lined up there. And there's just a few wee bits that I'd just like to tidy up. Bring in that wee tiny bit of gold, that part. And then there's a wee bit of white showing here, so we'll... So there you have fairly simple, nice, clean webcam window. And then what you can do is if you bring those layers together, well, you can click on the top layer, and then while holding your shift key, click on the bottom layer, hit Control E to flatten that down into one, and then if I hide that, basically I now have a complete webcam surround. Copy that layer style, paste that layer style onto there, super easy. And then with the likes of, say you wanted to add in some, say the fins on the side here, if you wanted to duplicate those, you could drag that up, put that in behind. Just again, duplicate the layer. Control T to bring up your transform. Bring that over. Say you only wanted, you know, say 2 of those. You didn't want this bottom one. Again, you could apply a layer mask. Take your brush tool. Just remove that bottom fin. And then rather than having to do it twice, duplicate the layer, Control J, and when you've got it selected, Control T to transform, flip horizontally, drag it, holding shift to drag it across and keep it aligned. There we go. That just gives you a really quick and simple way to create webcam windows. Obviously, if you then use that as a basis, if you save this as a template, which if you just go to File, Save As, and save it as a Photoshop document, it will then keep all the layers separated out. You can use that as a sort of base. Or you could say you'd done that and you were happy with that, you could hide that and then go, right, save that as a PNG. And then you've got the sections that you could just copy and paste and drag and drop onto other things. So also to do another wee bit, this part here with the other team members, I actually create a layer mask just by default that I want to use if I want to, you know, cut out certain sections. So obviously you want to have the champ portrait, the level, the whether the alt is active or not, and then the mana and health bars. So if we just quickly, what we can do, if we go here, we watch your yin and yang symbol down on the layers part, which is not really, but just a circle with half of it grey, half of it black. Click on that, go to solid color. It will then cover the entire document in a solid color, but you'll notice that it's also giving you a layer mask. So what you can do is you can choose the layer mask, hit Control I, which will invert it, so it changes everything to black, so it's hidden. And then you can use your polygonal lasso tool, just trace around sections. Say you wanted to go around this nice and quick. As I said, it might take you a little bit longer, guys. I've done this so many times that it's almost sort of second nature. Say I've chosen that bit, I can choose this layer, and if you have your background layer over here set to white, theoretically, I hit delete, and it should then paint that white. So I can use that. Then I could draw, say, a little box around the level section. You can move that about if you need to. You can hit delete. There. Then we could switch this from the marquee tool to the circle tool and just draw that. If you hold shift while using the circle tool, it will then create a perfect circle. So you can just position that there, hit delete, so we've got that. Then it puts that back to the marquee tool. Just go beep, beep, draw that little box along there. Delete, move it down again, just switch into your if you keep it set to M, which is your marquee tool, and then use the arrow keys, it will move the selection but not anything underneath it, so you can shift it down and then you can delete that. So that makes it really easy in the fact of I can then if I duplicate, this is how I do it now. There's probably different ways that make more sense, but I just basically duplicate the layer, choose them both, and then hit Control E to flatten it down, and basically I have a preset cutout for that. So if I wanted to, say, draw just mark this off in a box very simply, I want that. So I've marked it out and I'm going, right, that's how I want that part of the overlay to look. It's solid color, gives me, you know, that shape, and then I could apply a gradient overlay to that. Hey, let's make it look somewhat metallic. That, or even let's go with something a bit sort of OT. Right, okay. So we've got that. So I'm like, yep, that's how I want the overlay to look. By the way, guys, the great place to get gradients is from the likes of YouTube. There are millions of gradient packs out there that you can download and use. I use them as a starting point and then sort of add bits to them, or, you know, layer them up on top of things and things like that. Or DeviantArt is another good place, or Google. If you Google like free Photoshop layer styles or gradients, there is thousands upon thousands of websites with loads and loads of gradient packs, which is a really, really handy way to do stuff. So I've got that now. I'm going to move this layer on top. So what I can do is if I hold the Control key and click on our sort of cutout here, I can then hide that. Hide this layer, make sure it's lining up. Then go over to here, make sure the background layer, you've switched the background and foreground colors. The background color is black. And then I can just hit the delete button and it will show that through, and then hide that for a second. Make sure I'm on the marquee tool by hitting your M key, then just shift that down, turn that back on, delete, again M key, shift it down, bring that in, delete, shift it down again, bring that back in, delete, and there you've got basically a really clean cutout of your team window. And you only had to, if you do it once and then you've got that saved as a little cutout, and you'll not have to do it again. So it makes it a lot handier for if you want to do things nice and quickly or recreate things, because those parts are always going to be shown, so it just allows you to do that. So guys, this has just been a quick wee sort of cover on their layer masks and things like that. I am going to keep going with these because I know from the feedback that you guys have given me in the comments that you're really enjoying them and they're helpful, even for people who are maybe more advanced Photoshopers. I've picked up a few things and maybe a few wee tips and tricks that might help you do things a bit quicker and things like that. Don't always just, you know, sort of go, well, this isn't, you know, for me because it's really basic, because there might be something that could, you know, help you do things quicker and things like that. But thanks very much for checking out this video, guys. Be sure to subscribe for even more. Follow me on Twitter at Temporalcortex, and let me know what you think in the comments below, guys, and feel free to share the video, and I will see you later. Bye now.